Hey guys, yesterday something happened and I found it very funny and it kind of like started me to or led me to think about talking about you struggling. So what happened was that I talked to a friend and he recently split with his ex and then I was telling him like that I'm an oversharer and blah blah blah. And then that's true. Like, I really like to overshare, and with certain people, I'm extremely confident. Um, so then we kind of talked about like my love life, and I told him that I'm just super shy. And he couldn't believe it. He was like, "No, I cannot imagine you being shy," because with him, I'm extremely confident because I don't care romantically about him. You know what I mean? Like, I value him as a friend, but I don't really care romantically about him. And he knows that version of me that just tells everyone everything. And that's for the most part very true. Like, I really easily open up to people about certain things. I feel like I open up about things that I don't. I feel like when people would talk about it, I wouldn't care, you know? But then there are certain things, such as my love life, where I also talk about it a lot with people, but only with people that kind of don't know the people. You know what I mean? Like, they know that version of my life, but they don't know, for example, my lover. So I can easily talk to them about it because they won't really connect anyway. And then with recovery, it was very extreme. I wouldn't open up to anyone for a really, really long time. And that was really difficult because I mean, it was all that I had in my mind, but still, I would never talk about it. I would talk about it to my mom a little bit, but she couldn't understand my struggles. Like, she would understand a little bit, but then she would say things like, "Oh, you know what, like, I'm really glad you gained weight, but I think now is a perfect weight and you shouldn't gain more." And it was just like, I wouldn't control or couldn't control or wouldn't want to control my body anymore because I realized that I don't have to control my weight. It's just something that should be not natural. Like, I should just listen to my hunger cues and my body decides what weight it wants to be at. It's not something that I have to do. And she doesn't understand that because her whole life she's been controlling her weight. And that's very similar with a lot of friends of mine. I think it's just because of our society. So I have one friend, she struggled during some time. She was very, I think, orthorexic, you could call it. She did a lot of sports and she ate very healthy and very, very controlled. In the end, it's also an eating disorder, but um, she kind of snapped back to a quite normal life. Like, she can eat much and normal and blah blah blah, but still, like, calories are still at the back of her mind. So sometimes I hear her saying things like, "Oh, I just ate that slice of cake, but it was just not worth the calories." And now I can handle that, but for some time it really triggered me. But I kind of don't want to talk about it to her because I feel like she doesn't understand. A lot of people don't understand me in that regard. It's because they just know the societal version of, like, I just want to be healthy, you know? And for me wanting to be healthy means going against these norms and eating a lot of chocolate because that's what my body craves. And that's very difficult to understand for most people. And so I recovered. Um, and then in the summer holiday, last summer holiday, so half a year ago, or a little bit more, like maybe 9 months ago, I was traveling a lot with my best friend, and I had never talked to her about it, about my eating disorder struggles. Just one time, I remember we were in a camp, and I had kind of like a binge because it was a camp where it's just in the evening we would get together and sleep at the house, but then we would have our normal daily life. So before going to the camp, I was at home quickly and I was so hungry. That happened a lot to me that I would binge a little bit, and my binge was just eating a lot of nuts or something like that. So then I would go and we would have dinner, And I really was so anxious because I just ate like a lot of nuts and blah blah blah. That was again still in my ED, not that you're confused. And then I would arrive there and I would want a really small portion. And she was like looking at me like, chill, that's not enough. And I think that's the only time she ever made a comment. And that's also when I was really skinny. So she, I guess, realized. But then we never talked about it. We talked about everything. I opened up to her about everything except that thing because it was so, I was so insecure and so, I don't know, it was so personal to me, this whole ED recovery topic, that I struggled a lot with opening up. But we were sitting at the river on a trip, and we had ordered we went to get McDonald's, I remember. And then she was starting to look at, I think, what was it? Some drink or something. She started looking at the sugar and blah blah. She never cared about calories. That's what I love about her. But she cared a lot about like sugar and healthy and blah blah blah. So she started reading it and saying like, oh, that's a lot of sugar. And then I couldn't hold back, and I was like, girl, please don't talk to me about that because it really triggers me. And at that point it wasn't that bad anymore, like it wouldn't trigger me that much anymore, but still I didn't want to hear about it. And then that's when I opened up, and it was after I recovered. So, and she's my best friend, I talk really about everything with her, but for some reason this whole recovery topic I couldn't keep to myself. And then here I am on the internet publicly talking about it, but to people in my personal life, talking about it is very, very difficult. For example, my dad and his girlfriend, they barely know anything. They know a little bit because even they got worried about my weight, even though they're both super skinny. So I think some people know a little bit, but they don't know like how I actually recovered. Like they have no idea about extreme hunger. They have no idea why I gained so much weight, and they would be shook if they knew how much I ate. But yeah, so I guess in the end, what I want to say is that I find it very funny that a lot of people think I'm extremely open, and I am, and that I'm extremely, extremely confident, but they forget, or like for me, I'm guessing that it's also kind of a shell, that I'm so open about so many things and so confident that it's much easier to keep other things a secret because people think you will tell them anyway. Like they think they know everything about you. They think they know everything about me, but they don't. They absolutely don't. But they know a lot of things, so they kind of don't even guess something about me. And yeah, but looking back, talking about your recovery is really, really valuable. But there's just different types of people. I'm something, when it's very personal, I don't like talking about it. And for me, it was easier to just do it. And like in the back of my mind, I was always like, I just want to show people that it's possible. I saw Tabitha, I saw Kayla Rose. I was like, if they did it and they are also extremely independent like me, I can do it too. And I can just recover. I can lose the overshoot. I can go back to living a completely normal and happy life. And then when people would ask me about it, I would explain it and be so proud. That was also always my goal. So I wouldn't want to stop committing because I had this goal of really 100% recover, and then just showing people that actually you don't have to worry about weight because literally that's something that your biology takes care of. And if you grow up in an environment that cares a lot about weight, like me and my family, it's extremely freeing to think that way and to really not worry about it anymore. I just talked about so many things. But yeah, in the end, it's up to you if you want to open up to about your recovery or not, or about your ED. I know people that open up about it a lot, and the good thing is that it kind of helps you find people that make sure you're committing. And how do I say, it kind of also puts a little bit of pressure on you to actually recover. But then the problem with me, I think, if I had told exactly people what I was doing, they would have judged me so hard. They would have told me like, no, but that's not healthy to eat that much every day. Like, no, but you should move, exercise is healthy. All of these things, I have heard them even though I didn't want to talk about it. So, and now I'm back like living the life that most people would say is a pretty normal, healthy life. Maybe I still eat too much for some people's taste, but I don't care. So in the end, just honestly, sometimes it's easier to not talk to people about it, or not talk to people about it specifically, because they have no idea about recovery and EDs. And some people with EDs and with recoveries still don't have any idea, because they are still very much in a quasi-recovery, even though they claim to be recovered. So just be very, very careful what type of tips you take. And I can promise you, I'm being extremely authentic. I'm only talking about what I experienced. And that for me, this type of recovery has helped me to not only to get back to normal me, but then actually to get back to a very, very, very happy and very confident person. I think more than most people around me, I'm just... Even I was talking with my dad's girlfriend, and she told me that she took so many years to accept her body. She's now at 50 years old, finally more or less accepting her body. And for me, I feel like I accepted my body now. Of course, not 1,000%. I'm not sure if that's ever possible. I'm sure it is, but it's very difficult. But I'm pretty sure I accepted it to the same degree as she accepted her body, even though I am so much younger. And that is insane. And I honestly think that is all because of my overshoot, because it was very difficult getting that overshoot, but in the end it kind of taught me that happiness doesn't definitely not come from your weight. And yeah, I learned a huge lesson with recovery, and I'm just now being so chill because I have had 2 really, really bad and stressful years because of recovery and my ED, obviously. That now sometimes I'm laughing at people having problems because I've experienced something so much worse, and now I'm just so, I feel like carefree, you know? Like every day I wake up and I'm just like easy. Sometimes, of course, I'm stressed because of schoolwork, I want to sleep more, but I'm not waking up being scared about how people would perceive my body, or oh my god, I will have to eat, and you know, I'm just waking up being very chill and carefree, and that is so much more important than anything else. And yeah, this really was a huge ramble, but maybe you could relate or something. Okay, wishing you all the best. Bye bye.